me a god. You call me a god. You call me a god. You call me a god.
Let's go. I'm about to go off like a weapon. Fuel to the top, got a filled up engine. In my thoughts, obsession. I will not stop, no, I'm never second guessing. I got a God complex. Haters love to hate, but I never feel pressed. Got a lot on my plate, but I never get stressed. I'll take all the pressure like I'm acing this test. Tear it up like I'm Jason. I see the world like it's ready for the taking. I see this place like a game I'm playing. Straight to the bank to collect my payments. No negotiations, it's my way, I was born impatient. And like a damn Freemason, I'll run this nation.
You call me a god. You call me a god. You call me a god. You call me a god.
I don't know how to stop. I just go till I drop. Whether it's working or shots, give it all that I got. You can watch me work in my element. Anyone in the way is irrelevant. You wanna cross me, cool, not intelligent. Cause I don't forget shit like an elephant. Go ahead and tempt me, put it on the line and you'll come up empty. If I got time, I'm deadly. Never caught off guard, no, I'm always ready. I got a hand real steady. Look me in the eye and you'll see no hezzy. About to get real messy. I'll put you in a grid 6 feet like Kenny.
You call me a god. You call me a god. You call me a god.
What's good, everybody? It's your boy, Reckless Ray Dinero, and we're back at it again with another episode of Future Financial Strategies. I hope everybody's having a great week going into Bag Fortification Friday. We're running on maximum efficiency. All cylinders go. All engines go. Have you guys made sure to like the video? Have you made sure to make sure that you're still subscribed? I've had some people becoming unsubscribed. Obviously on YouTube, when you're putting out certain echelons of content, we cover a lot of things over on this channel. People get unsubscribed, not of their own decision making. It is what it is. Make sure you're still subscribed. Also, if you see value in the video, definitely go ahead and throw this share out to your communities. Shout outs to Quantum Dean of Metaphysics. She always shares my stuff, like darn near always. It's really respect for that. Thank you. I'm happy and hoping that your community over there is getting as much value out of it as we are over here in the Wolfpack. But we want to see more of that. Let's get out and take over the algorithm. Let's share the video, people. Today, we are going over another vital concept, in my opinion. We went over the velocity of money last week. The counterpart to that is the time value of money. A lot of people have never heard of this concept that aren't rich already. Same with the velocity of money. A lot of average working stiffs, people that think they're financially savvy, don't actually get to this level of financial savvy. But tied together with the velocity of money, this is the 1-2 punch that'll change your life, in my opinion. And the follow-up to that is the time value of money. And what is that, you might ask? The time value of money is a financial concept that reflects the idea that money available today is worth more than the same amount of money in the future. Think inflation. If inflation's running rampant, it's better to go ahead and get the money out, get the money working today than it is to save up for a future state in which that same amount of money will be able to acquire less assets or will be able to buy less food or less of whatever it is that you're trying to get. And the reason for this is because the money can be invested or earn interest over time, leading to its value increasing over a period. Also, as I just stated, inflation, the value of that money can be impacted over time by it just going down and losing its purchasing power. But that goes back to a dollar today has the potential to grow and become worth more in the future due to the opportunities that you have to invest now. Those investments might not be available later. Now, conversely, the inverse of that is a dollar in the future is considered to be worth less because it hasn't had the opportunity to grow and generate returns. Notice a redundant concept that I've got going here. The money should be going to work, but I mean, when we use the inflation example, even if you're buying things, and we went over this with the velocity of money last week, even if you're buying things, those things are going up in cost. And if that money, it's just a pile of money that you're hiding under your bed, or you're getting interest rates that are not beating inflation, you're losing the ability to buy in the future. Dollars in the future are cheap. That's the reason, one of the main reasons, when I go back to debt, I'm like, yeah, I'll take some dollars now and pay you back with cheaper dollars in the future, because the dollars in the future are going to be easier to come by. So for the way that I look at debt and the way that I utilize debt is different for me. It hits different because I know that those dollars in the future are going to be worth less. So if I take your dollars now and you loan me $10,000, sure, I have to pay you back the number 10,000, but what is the buying power and how easy are those dollars in the future flowing because the value has gone down of the dollar? I'm paying you back less. By definition, if I park that into an asset, or I make a good investment with that, or that goes into something that appreciates, that beats out inflation, that's a win for me. I'm paying you back less. But this concept is essential in financial decision making, such as comparing investments, assessing loans, and evaluating the value of the future cash flows. It helps the individuals and businesses make better choices by considering the impact of time on the value of the money that they're spending or potentially spending, or earning or potentially earning. Now, I've got 8 ways that this concept affects you in your everyday life. We're doing things a little bit different. We getting hard hitting here. Like, these episodes are granular. We're gritty. They're not going to be as entertaining or as fun. It's just me talking. These are good episodes where if you're just looking to listen and learn, just tap in, listen, and learn. Okay? But something that everybody should think about, though. Now, we're going to start with savings and investments. Now, if this is the concept where if you start saving early, the earlier you begin saving, the more money that you make. And the more time your money has to grow or be in the market through compounding interest and returns on the investment, the more money you make, which means that, like, if you start early and you stick with it, 100%, like, yes, if you start in your teens, when you get your first job, provided you get a first job at this point. I mean, I don't know. It seems like these kids are going all the way through college anymore before they get their first job. But if you start setting money aside and saving early, the earlier you start, the more money you make over time by default. Taking advantage of retirement accounts especially is a contributor to this. Having that 401k, starting that Roth, getting in those tax advantage vehicles. Now, me personally, we've gone over this. I believe inversely about the Roth and the 401k. I definitely believe that you should get whatever free monies are available. But the caveat there is, I also believe that you should start with the Roth early, because the 401k, the tool which that is used for, is to lower your tax burden. If you are already in the lowest tax bracket, no matter how much money you invest in your 401k that your work provides, it doesn't do anything for you from a tax perspective. So you gotta actually look at these things, because the Roth would be more advantageous in those scenarios. Like, if you were going to put a bunch of money into savings, you get your company match, you get those monies, but you also put money, the bulk of your investment, if you're going with retirement savings, should go into your Roth. In my opinion, obviously not financial advice, but something to look at, because the 401k you're taxed on. as you draw on it in old age. The Roth, you are not. Just going to throw that out there. And remember, the 401k offers you no tax advantage if you are already in the lowest tax bracket. Something else to think on. Now, debt management is another one that is going to be affected by the time value of money. Paying off high interest debts, prioritizing the high interest debts like credit cards as the interest adds up over time, making them more expensive in the long term. And refinancing high interest debts into lower interest debts if you are not able to keep those off. The one caveat that I have for this, because one of the ways that I utilize debt is to purchase assets. So actually, never mind. This, because the high interest debt would still qualify for this, because I don't use high interest debt, at least not in the sense that I'm paying for it. And if I am, it's normally within a very constrained amount. Like we've talked about this before as well. Like for me personally, bull run season. Well, the current season that we're running into, because I don't know what's going on with the American economy. Like I don't know where we're going. It's tumultuous. It's volatile. So we're bringing in all debts. The only debts that we're going to have are debts to myself that are done from in-house. We're not using any outside money at this point until we get ready to ramp up for this next house. So we might be pulling some outside debt for this next house after the debt is all collectively cleared up. We might do that. I might front run some of this money and kick back on the savings and get the bulk of it in the market now to ride into whatever we're going into. So we might pull that out, but that's also not high interest debt because we'll be paying back cheaper dollars as the bull run ensues. Now, as far as refinancing goes, I do not refinance debt. I haven't done that in a long time. I have, though. Back when I had a lot of credit card debt and I wasn't good at managing my money, I 100% did refinance into those 0% options to pay it back faster. We did utilize that strategy, but that was more of a move of desperation. I think if you're having to roll debt over like that, that's not a good spot to be in. It's not a good place. Not a good place, people. Now, the third way that this can apply in your finances, and we kind of touched on this earlier, but we're going to dial in a little bit, is major purchases, comparing the financing options when making significant purchases like a car or house, comparing the financing options to see how the interest rates and terms will impact the total cost over time. The total cost of what you're paying. I mean, personally, I like to pay things off early. With the exception of my house, I'll take that total cost over time because I'm not paying it. That's different, though. Depends on how you set your stuff up. We try to pay for as little as possible. Now, the things that we are paying for, we try to pay off early. Always try to pay it off early. So cars, I might extend a loan, but I don't normally pay for a vehicle over 36 months. It's me personally. But the reason we do the longer loan is so that way we have the ability should there be turbulence. Now, if I'm doing a chunk loan and I know that it's going to be like I'm paying one chunk of money, then I'm going to pay another chunk of money, and then I'm going to pay another chunk of money, and we're just going to get it done and up out of here real quick. It's different, but like I normally always try to set them up to where I'm not paying for over 36 months while covering myself on the payment amount just in case you have a month where there's an issue. Because even with the best plans, the world does have a say, and you are affected by things that go on around you. Now, the other thing, avoiding unnecessary debt as far as major purchases. Only take on debt for purchases that provide long-term value or generate income rather than accumulating debt for discretionary items. This is one of those concepts, and this is the reason I look at debt differently than most other people. I'm looking at opportunity. I'm looking at the ability for me to get dollars today into the market to move forward, to move that needle forward, to see where we're going to be sitting with that in the long term versus just only looking at discretionary things. Like I said, we're trying to only use debt to buy assets. We're trying to only use debt to buy assets. We got our daily driver, the Chase Sapphire, that we're accruing points on that we purchase and pay off. We're not floating that debt. That card goes back to zero every month. Actually, it goes back to zero as the money comes in. Like, I don't even wait till the end of the month to pay it. Like, I don't like seeing the numbers get too high. That's the first thing I pay off. That's the first chunk of money that comes out. The second chunk of money that comes out, I pay myself first off my checks. But the first chunk of money that comes out is to pay that card off. And then we're managing and chunking and chipping away at the little bit of float that we have, which is down to, I think, like $1,200. We're paying it off slow because we want to keep money in the market, and I'm fine financing it because that finance charge getting smaller every month as we get it closer, and I'm making more than the finance charge before anybody asks, oh, well, you're the finance charges. Finance charge isn't real money to me, just so we're on the same page here, because I'm paying it back with cheap dollars. The money that I have coming in from my investments, by and large, clears any finance charges that I have. So that's not real money to me. The next is investment decisions. That's number 4. When we're evaluating investment opportunities, comparing the potential investment based on their projected future returns and risk levels. Now, see, me personally, I bat for the fences. That's what happens when you're on the come up and you coming from nothing and you're getting it out the mud. You got to swing for the fences. We are swinging for the fences, people, always. So just the way I'm doing it, and so far it's worked. And now we are diversifying back into some less risky, little bit risk off, right? Where we've shifted over, we're saving in the market, we're saving up for this down payment on the house in the market. We've got the allocations for that parsed out. I know the target markers for each of those investment holdings. It's going to be a little bit aggressive, but like I said, I'm very much a risk on person because I know I can make the money back, and I know that I'm backstopping all the investments that I'm doing with solid investments on the back end. So that way, should we come into troubling times, I'm covered. You always got to have redundancy. But if you're getting it out the mud, you're going to have to play a little bit risky if you're trying to cut off some of the time, because like I didn't get my finances together until late. And then when I found my lane, I went all in on that lane, which means that, I've already said this, Bitcoin is my retirement. That first Bitcoin was a retirement play right there. So everything past that, I'm in my lane. It's the high risk lane, very risk on. And now the backstopping of that, I'm going, okay, like we got to get this money converted over into some other stuff that's less risky, a little bit less risky. But more importantly, I'm looking at how the cash flow that I have coming in is being utilized and making sure that we have set amounts that we're investing. Like I have a set amount that's my lifestyle amount, and every raise that I get above that, any extra money that I get above that is going to work. It's going to building that future. And then now we can work ferociously at those things. This goes back to diversifying your portfolio. Diversification helps manage risk and potentially increase the likelihood of higher returns over time. It does. But I will say this. If you've got your lane and you've got your things that you're good at, and this is the way that I do it, obviously not financial advice, I am very overexposed in the thing that I consider my lane. I am overexposed in crypto, 100%. We just started this year, and I told you that's the reason I started back up my stock portfolios and getting back into the traditional finance market, because it's still ownership, it's still an asset vehicle, and while it's not as fast as far as the velocity of money, it's not, in my opinion right now, as great a value in the time value of money. It diversifies it, it backstops it. Real estate also backstops it. When crypto went down, my house value went up. And as we're working towards getting into the NBA, the Never Broke Again Club, We've got to utilize all the tools. Now I have a tool that I am very versed with, and then I got a secondary tool that I am also getting very versed with. And then I've got a third tool that I was very versed with, but it just didn't seem as effective. Right? So now we getting back to that third tool, and the third tool will become the second. So it'll be crypto, the market, and then real estate. Unless we get some really good opportunities here in real estate coming up. And then, real estate might be that secondary tool, but I'm still learning the real estate. I'm still figuring out how to set these things up. Basically, my play on real estate is try to pay for as little as possible. Try to control, try to hold, try to get the asset, figure out a way, get something to pay for it. And then, that's all we've got for the investment decisions. But number 5, which is budgeting and planning, and the way that this works, obviously, you guys know, not my strong suit, but I'm getting better at it. I'm getting better at it now that I have these allocations, these buckets of money that are coming in, and moving those money along. I'm realizing that I am better at budgeting than I thought. A budget helps you allocate your money effectively, ensuring you have funds available for both current expenses and future savings goals. This is true. Even though we're saving in the market, this is true. Market speeds that up. It speeds up the velocity of money for the savings. Planning for major expenses is another major one that comes with budgeting and planning. Anticipating future expenses like education, home upgrades, and travel, and start saving for them in advance. Now, another thing, and one of the hacks that I'm using for this, specifically for the travel, because starting next year we will be doing at least one conference a year, is getting a card that is conducive to that. So normally we have a few road trips a year, and we have, I'd say me and the girl, we have a few road trips. Like I have a few road trips a year that are just like leisurely road trips. I'm trying to make those more productive, but for sure I'm going to a conference every year, and I'm going to try to get set up to be able to pay for that in points. Now, once the channel gets monetized, that might change things a little bit. We might be able to do a little bit more with a little bit less. But for right now, the play that I'm working at is setting that up to where I can get into one conference to help build myself, my network. Every year, we're trying to go do something to help move the needle forward. Number 6 is inflation consideration. We touched on this earlier as well, accounting for inflation and recognizing that the purchasing power of money tends to decrease over time due to inflation. We beat this one into the ground. This is the reason that we have the financial red pill. This is the reason that this channel exists. We are constantly in the fight against inflation. It's coming like it or not, and we've got to do what we've got to do. Number 7, the emergency fund. Building an emergency fund is important. Having an emergency fund provides a financial cushion to cover unexpected expenses without the need to borrow money at a high cost. Very true. You should always have that backstop. Agreed. I believe in keeping that backstop in the market as well, but we gonna ride. We always want to have the contingency. And last, but definitely not least, the opportunity costs. And this is one of the things that people on the internet never talk about. Really, I don't see the gurus talking about opportunity costs that often. I see them telling you that you should never own a house, and now y'all going to be renters forever. And then they'll come back a few weeks later talking about how the rent prices are coming up and you got to get to the bag, which actually seems like a road warrior, a long roundabout way to goading people and the masses into being slaves indefinitely, because you don't want to own a house because you don't want to maintain a house. But then we're going to talk about the rental rates going up and now how you can never own a house. That doesn't make sense to me at all. It sounds like an elaborate scam. It sounds like, unless you want no control over what the cost of your living situation is, because it's going to be based on whatever everybody else's living situation is. And then we're going to advocate and go after and talk about eating the rich, which is just going to raise the cost of housing, raising the taxes, which also raises your rents because they're not going to pay for that. You do. It sounds like a dangerous plan. You're gonna rent with roommates, but one of you won't buy a house and house hack that house so that everybody can have a stable environment to where they're put in a position where they at least have a roundabout way of knowing that their rent's not going up $500 every year, double every year, 25% every year, so that everybody can stack and then you can rinse and repeat. We're too prideful to house hack. We're too prideful to do some short-term, medium-term discomfort. We want to look like we're doing something. Everybody wants to talk about how they live by themselves, paying $1,700 in rent. Y'all paying double my mortgage in rent. Oh, but the house. Oh, something might happen. Something might happen, but you know what's definitely happening? Your rent's going up. Doesn't make sense to me. But, the way that we think about the money that you're giving up by spending money today instead of saving and investing for the future should be having a higher weight. We got to start planning ahead. We got to stop YOLOing our finances. We got to stop YOLOing our lives. I mean, y'all are out here just making very short-term decisions, and then you're upset when people start referring to you as peasants when you literally are navigating as peasants. We've got to start looking at the bigger picture. And I've said it a million times. We are already in the midst of a war. You are already in the midst of a war. And the war is on your bank account. They're trying to rein that in. They want you broke. They want you dipping into your 401k. They want you not planning ahead. They don't want you worrying about tomorrow. They want you in a state of distress because it makes it easier to control you. And until we get that wrapped around that concept in our heads and locked in, they're going to keep playing this game, and we're going to keep arguing about things that don't matter while the things that do matter are being taken away from you actively. Your ability to navigate, your ability to control what goes on in your home, your ability to control what you eat, your ability to control where you live, your ability to secure your living situation. This is ground zero. For those of you who want to be revolutionaries, fix your finances, fix your home status. Fix that first. Get to a place where you can think. Then you can strategize. Just running out here talking about we're going to eat the rich. We're going to do this. These people are bad. Everybody's bad. Like, you have no idea what's good or bad because you're starving and you're poor. We've got to fix the ground level of what's going on here. And that's all we've got for today. I'm trying to make sure that we get some of these videos that are definitely hard hitting, definitely value packed. And definitely they're going to be succinct. They're going to be straight to the point. Like, I don't even have a news article for today. Like, this one was important to me, and I wanted to make sure that it was focused in. There was no distraction. We were able to rock out on it. And obviously, for those of you who tap in later tonight for Guns and Butter, I'd be more than happy to talk about this stuff. Like, we're going to be talking about candidates still. We're going to keep riding that out, but obviously, the chat dictates what we talk about. And if we want to get to that extreme bag talk and we want to get dialed in, then definitely we can tap in on these for sure. But hopefully you have liked by now. Hopefully you have subscribed by now. If this is your first time over here tapping in with us, we also have a live every Thursday night, Guns and Butter. Definitely tap in for that. Those of you who did not know, Reckless Ray Dinero is now over on Twitch. We'll see how long they allow us to continue to talk over there. But Guns and Butter is simulcasted over to Twitch now. We're going to give that a few weeks, see if we pick up any traction over there. Because we definitely had some positive feedback yesterday, which is interesting. But I think people are tired. People are wanting to hear some different things. And honestly, I might do some broadcasting of these episodes over on Twitch as well. I might just, live stream it and just play the episode and then do something after that, like chill around for like hour or so after that and just have the conversation. We'll see. If we do, it'll be over on YouTube for all the YouTube family. Rumble family, obviously, y'all going to get it as well. But it's time for some different thoughts, time for some different concepts, and we're gonna start mining that out. But as always, like, share, and subscribe. It's your boy, Reckless Ray Dinero, and I wanted to say thank you for everybody who's tapping in. Thank you for everybody who shares this content. Thank you for everybody who jumps down in the comments to have conversations with me, because those of you who do that know that I do respond. The wolf pack is small but growing, and I'll tell you what, I'll always be in the chat, but like as long as I possibly can until it becomes unrealistic because there's too many comments. And even when there's too many comments, I'm still going to reply to some of them. I'm going to let y'all know that I'm looking. I'm an avid reader of the comments. I'm in the comments. I'm in the chat. I know we're not supposed to do that, but you know what? I don't really care if people don't like me, because the information I know for a fact is important. So definitely get down in there with me. Until next week, folks, I'm out.